Hello and welcome to Your Broken Galaxy. I am Broken, and today I am answering Evelyn Gamer 5752's question, what if Anakin perished when he jumped out of the speeder? So, Anakin has just slashed the two bugs in half, and Obi-Wan dove headfirst through a glass window and grabs the little droid thing. Anakin goes running off to steal a speeder and chased after Obi-Wan. The little droid gets shot by Zam Wesell, and Obi goes falling, but Anakin swoops in and saves the day. They're all like, banter, 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 and they keep the chase on. It is action-packed, full of thrills. Anakin is flying like a madman, and Obi-Wan is like scared, right? So Annie says, "I'm sorry, Master, I forgot you didn't like flying." And Obi-Wan says, "I don't mind flying, but what you're doing is self-deletion." Gotta watch that algorithm on YouTube, kids. So Anakin keeps chasing down Zam and ends up using a shortcut and seemingly losing the bounty hunter. So Obi-Wan says, "Well, you've lost him." And Anakin says, "I'm deeply sorry, Master." Then Obi-Wan says, "That was some shortcut, Anakin. He went completely the other way. Once again, you've..." And then Anakin cuts him off and says, "If you'll excuse me," then jumps out of the air speeder. Obi-Wan looks over the side of the car to see Anakin plummeting. Anakin falls, but the bounty hunter sees him and just turns a little. So when he went to land on the speeder, Anakin just kind of looks in shock as he falls past her and hits the roof of a concrete and steel building a few hundred yards below, ending his pitiful life. So good old Obi-Wan now feels just absolutely terrible that his apprentice, for apparently no reason whatsoever, just ended his own life. He calls into the Jedi Temple, and Mace is like, "Obi-Wan, is everything all right with the Senator?" And Obi-Wan says, "Oh, yes, someone tried to assassinate her. Anakin and I pursued the assailant. But once it became clear to Anakin that his poor choices had led to the attacker getting away, he jumped." "Jumped?" Mace asked. "I'm sorry, Master Windu. He jumped from the speeder and ended his life." "Oh my," Mace said. "I'll return to the Senator," Obi-Wan responded, and Mace says, "Good. I'll send a team to relieve you within the hour so you can reflect on what happened." And Obi-Wan says, "Thank you, Master." Obi-Wan then turns off his communicator, but right before he hangs up, he hears Mace says, "Ha, chosen one, my..." And then the phone goes silent. So Ben flies back to Padme's, and she's like, "Did you find the assassin?" And Obi-Wan says, "Senator, I'm sorry, the assassin has gotten away." And Padme says, "Where's Anakin?" And Obi-Wan says, He didn't make it." And Padme says, "Oh, that's so sad." She turns to her handmaid and says, "He was like a bit of a creep, but he was really quite attractive." And Obi-Wan kind of pulls his head back with a shocked expression on his face and said, "Did you just..." But just as he is about to finish his sentence, the door slides open, and in come walking famed Jedi Master Oppo Rancisis. Well, he doesn't really come walking in so much as slithering, but that's beside the point. So the next day, Zam Wesell decides instead of using poisonous slugs, she's just going to use explosives. She grabs a second one of those little droids that she sent the night before, but instead of giving it poisonous slugs, she just throws some bombs on it. Obi-Wan proved that the windows were not very strong when he jumped through them, so she just flies the thing into Padme's window and detonates it. It blows up, ending the lives of Padme and her four handmaidens, Master Rancisis, and about a dozen security guards. So later that day, Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Mace meet with Palpatine, and Yoda says, "Saddened to report I am that Senator Amidala has perished in an explosion." And Palpatine really, doesn't care. If anything, his actual emotional state towards Padme passing is slight amusement, but he feels in the Force that Obi-Wan is, super sad, so he says, "Oh, my dear Padme, and were there any other casualties?" And Mace says, 16 other Nubians, the Senator's staff, as well as famed and beloved Jedi Master Oppo Rancisis." And Palpatine says, "The Snake Man?" And Mace says, "Yes, the Snake Man. Well, one of the Snake Men. We have a few varieties." And Palpatine says, "And that's it?" And Obi-Wan says, "Well, the day before, when the assassin first attempted to take down Padme, my Padawan failed to apprehend him and decided to end his own life." And Palpatine is totally flustered by this, and he says, "Really?" Anakin! Palps is like noticeably concerned, unlike when he found out that 17 other people from his home world bit it. And he says, I never would have thought that I can't believe that Anakin would do such a thing. And May says, well, yes, apparently he wasn't the chosen one after all. And Palpatine can like sense a tiny bit of happiness from Mace from getting to say that kind of thing, which of course irritates Palpatine because Annie was part of his plan. And Palpatine says, that was in poor taste, Master Windu, to which Ben looks up at Palps with what can only be described as respect. So, like 3 days later, Anakin's mom also passes away, and then a day after that, the entire Separatist army takes off undiscovered from Geonosis. The Jedi still have no idea that the clones even exist, so Palpatine is talking to Dooku and says, you know what, Count, I had this massive plan to take down the Jedi piece by piece over the next year while grooming Skywalker to join us. But then he just went and ended himself. So you know what? I'm kinda over it. Fly the bulk of the droid army to Coruscant. We're just gonna finish this thing right away. So Dooku flies there and he's got like 1 billion droids to attack the Jedi Temple. Palpatine has a speech and says, I have deceived you all. I am a Sith Lord, and I and my apprentice Count Dooku are taking over the Republic and making it an empire. The Separatists are like, oh no, we aren't having any of this. To which the 2 Sith Lords activate a built-in self-destruct code, making all of the droids break, and then Palps calls up the Kaminoans, who send in the clones to act as Palpzillo's army. Count Dooku, who is still maintaining several of his light side tendencies, ends up working with Palpatine to discover how to use the Force to reverse aging. However, Palps can't do it himself because he's just super dark side. But in order for Dooku to agree to help Palpatine rejuvenate, he makes sure that there is, like, fair trade laws and no corruption and stuff like that. And the Empire actually becomes a relatively livable command economy based solely on the fact that the sentient beings are not required to do the majority of manual labor as the state-owned droids handle that stuff. The people of the galaxy go on living somewhat unfulfilled lives but have peace and health all the same. See, I do happy endings sometimes. Well, that's my video for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a bit of a fun one to do. If you have suggestions for me, go ahead and write them in the comments below. I get a whole lot more comments than I ever would have time to actually make videos, and I have a folder on my computer which has probably at least 100 ideas that people have submitted that I think are good ideas. So if you submit an idea and I don't do it right away, that doesn't mean that I won't do it. It might be like a year later or something, and I'm just sitting around on my computer and I'm like, I want to do a video, and then I just open up that file and look through the list and find one you like. So give me those ideas. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and all that garbage.